Hare Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
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 Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram
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 Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare. Okay, so we'll continue with Canto 7, Chapter 7, Text 38. Does anyone remember any main point from last time's reading?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Neha, go on. Yes.
No, Deepika, you can.
Yeah, so for the previous verse actually says it all. I'll just read the translation once again. The real problem of life, Prahlāda Maharaj spoke about when we are born in this material body, we are always in that repetition of birth and death. And to break that cycle, to come out of that wheel of birth and death, we must be in devotional service. That will help us to advance. And the spiritually advanced person who is engaged constantly in devotional service, he can go beyond the Brahman effulgence platform and beyond. From it starts from the liberated platform, and then he can advance to the stage where he is surrendered to the Lord, and he's constantly in touch with Aduk Saja Vasudev by engaging in devotional service. And yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Sneha, did you want to say anything else?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yeah, we heard that the Lord's activities are uncommon. The pure devotee gets into ecstasy. The devotee is completely purified. He becomes Anya Vilashyata Shunya. His body and his mind becomes fully spiritualized. He is completely on the spiritual platform. He has no material activities. So all these is the signs of pure devotee. The ecstatic condition of devotional cessation of all material contamination is nivritti. That's Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah, that when he hears the pastimes of the Lord, he's completely in ecstasy and he's laughing or crying and all out of love. Okay, thank you so much. So let's continue 38. Koti prayaso surabalaka harer.
Koti
Prayaso
prayaso asura balaka
Shurabalaka
Hare.
Hare.
Upasane swe hridi chidravat sataha.
Upasani Swedi Chitravatsata.
Chitravatsata.
Swasyat manasa kyurashesha dehinam.
Swasyatmanah sakyu ashish dehinam.
Samanyata kim vishayo papadanehe.
Samanyat
Yatah kim vishayo papadane.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O my friends, sons of the Asuras, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in His Super Soul feature, always exists within the cores of the hearts of all living entities. Indeed, He is the well-wisher and friend of all living entities, and there is no difficulty in worshipping the Lord. Why then should people not engage in His devotional service? Why are they so addicted to unnecessarily producing artificial paraphernalia for sense gratification? So he's saying here that it's so easy to worship the Lord. Why people are not engaging in His service? Why should they not engage? Because the personality of Godhead is supreme. No one is equal to Him and no one is greater than Him. Asamordhava. Lord Krishna is called Asamordhava. No one is equal to Him, no one is greater than Him. Nonetheless, if one is a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord is easily obtainable. The Lord is compared to the sky because the sky is vast, yet within the reach of all, not only of human beings, but even of the animals. The Supreme Lord, in His Paramatma feature, exists as the best well-wisher and friend. As confirmed in the Vedas, Sayujyo Sakhayo, the Lord, in his super soul feature, always stays in the heart along with the living entity. The Lord is so friendly to the living entity that he remains within the heart so that one can always contact him without difficulty. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Suridam Sarvabhutanam, that I am in the heart, I am the best well wishing friend in everyone's heart. He is a Paramatma in our heart. He accompanies us throughout our journey in the material world. Till the time we are in the material world, he doesn't leave us even for a moment. Not even for a moment. Always with us. So the Lord, uh, so one can do this simply by devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada, Sevanam. As soon as one hears of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna Kirtan, one immediately comes in touch with the Lord. A devotee immediately comes in touch with the Lord by any or all of the items of devotional service. Because as soon as one hears about Krishna, so Krishna's name, fame, form, qualities, pastimes, paraphernalia are not different. So as soon as one hears of Krishna, one is in touch with Krishna. Just now we heard that the pure devotee, when he's hearing about Krishna, he's going in ecstasy, because he's in touch with Krishna. He's able to experience being with Krishna, or he's remembering Krishna to that degree. Either could be the case, Vipralamba Seva or Sambhoga. So a devotee immediately comes in touch with the Lord by any or all of the items of devotional service. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Pada Sevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam, Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam. Therefore, there is no difficulty in coming in contact with the Supreme Lord. Koti Prayasha. We can see if we want to meet an important person, it's very difficult to meet. Like for ordinary people like us, if we say, "Oh, I want to contact the president of a country," it's not easy, almost impossible. We want to meet any important person, very difficult to meet them for a common man. But here, Krishna is the most important person, and he's made himself available to each and every one of us. Not only, oh, certain people can contact me or at certain times. No, anyone, everyone at any time, every time. So compassionate. On the other hand, going to hell requires great endeavor. If one wants to go to hell by illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication, he must acquire so many things. For illicit sex, he must arrange for money for brothels. For meat eating, he must arrange for many slaughterhouses. For gambling, he must arrange for casinos and hotels. And for intoxication, he must open many breweries. Clearly, therefore, if one wants to go to hell, he must endeavor very much. But if he wants to return home, back to Godhead, there is no difficult endeavor. To go back to Godhead, one may live alone anywhere, in any condition, and simply sit down, meditate upon the Supersoul, and chant and hear about the Lord. Thus, there is no difficulty in approaching the Lord. So, Prabhupada is saying that, in fact, to do bad things, we have to endeavor so much. We need money, we need to put so much endeavor, so much infrastructure. Whereas to contact the Lord anywhere, anytime, we can simply chant His name, hear about Him. Thus, there is no difficulty in approaching the Lord. Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamisram. Because of inability to control the senses, one must go through great endeavor to go to hell. But if one is sensible, he can very easily obtain the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead because the Lord is always with him. By the simple method of Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, the Lord is satisfied. Indeed, the Lord says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yo me Bhaktya Prayachate Tadaham Bhakti Oparatam Ashnami Prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. Bhagavad Gita 9:26. One can meditate upon the Lord anywhere and everywhere. Thus Prahlāda Maharaj advised his friends, the sons of the demons, to take this path back home, back to Godhead without difficulty. So we can see that how the devotees, because Prahlāda Maharaj is expert, he's a devotee, he's expert at devotional service. So he's making it so easy. He's saying you just hear and chant and go back home, back to Godhead. Why do you want to engage in illicit activities? What happens is we cannot control our senses. And so then we want to do all the mischief. And then that's what keeps us here in the material world. But Krishna has made the arrangement that anyone can contact him at any time very easily. Comments?
He's so realized, and he's helping us also. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
Prahlāda Maharaj so realized, and we can see how compassionate Krishna is. How compassionate. Most important person. Here in material world, how difficult it is to meet anyone who's important. Here the Supreme Lord, most important. He's making himself so easily available. And what do we do instead? Oh, I'm busy. I need to do so many other things. You know?
And then he also said, Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam. So it is not easy, it is the easiest. Just offer a leaf, a tulsi leaf. Just offer flower. Just offer obeisances.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
chant his name. So, like, it is not easy. It is the easiest, I think, in the superlative. It is the easiest. Even right now, we are just taking his name. We are feeling close to him. He's there.
Yeah.
So even by reading his books, doesn't matter, I don't understand anything. Even if I'm reading that book, he's there with me at that time. If I'm reading Krishna book or if I'm reading a Bhagavatam, he's there with me.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So he's so merciful.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Raya Kalatram Pashava Sutadayo
Raya
Kalatram Pashavaha Sutadaya
Raha Mahikunjarako Shabhutaya
Graha
Sarvetha Kama Shanabhangurayusaha
Sarve
Sarvedhikama Shanabhangurayushaha
Kurvanti Martyasya Kiyat Priyam Chalaha
Kurvanti Martyasya Kiyat Priyam Chalaha.
One's riches, beautiful wife and female friends, one's sons and daughters, one's residence, one's domestic animals like cows, elephants, and horses, one's treasury, economic development, and sense gratification. Indeed, even the lifetime in which one can enjoy all these material opulences are certainly temporary and flickering. Since the opportunity of human life is temporary, what benefit can these material opulences give to a sensible man who has understood himself to be eternal? This verse describes, I'm sorry, how the advocates of economic development are frustrated by the laws of nature. As the previous verse asks, Kim Vishayopapadane? What is the actual benefit of so called economic development? The history of the world has factually proved that attempts to increase economic development for bodily comfort through the advancement of material civilization have done nothing to remedy the inevitability of birth, death, old age, and disease. So, what Prahlāda Maharaj is trying to say is, sure, like in modern times, for example, we are opening so many more hospitals, so many more medicines, but we cannot cure the the problem of disease. Of course, I mean, it helps us. Otherwise, for example, how could we, we are so used to certain way of living right now. So, but what shall we do with what we have? Use it to increase our Krishna consciousness. We do not need to argue that, or whether economic development is good or bad. It's there, it's there. Let us use what we have to to come closer to Krishna. Because here, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, even if you get so economically developed, how are you solving birth, death, old age, and disease? So what Prabhupada would say is, okay, whatever you have, you have. Just use it to actually solve this problem of birth, death, old age, and disease. So everyone has knowledge of huge empires throughout the city of the world, the Roman Empire, the Mughal Empire, the British Empire, and so on. But all the societies engaged in such economic development, sarvirtha kama, have been frustrated by the laws of nature through periodic wars, pestilence, famine, and so on. Thus, all their attempts have been flickering and temporary. So, the empires have come, they were at the peak, but they don't have any power anymore. It's true, right? At one time, Roman Empire, so powerful. Mughal Empire, British Empire, but right now they barely have any power if you look at compared to how it was before. So in this verse, therefore it is said, Kurvanti Martyasya Kiyat Priyam Chala. One may be very proud of possessing a vast empire, but such empires are impermanent. After 100 or 200 years, everything is finished. All such positions of economic development, although created with great endeavor and harsh hardship, are vanquished very soon. Therefore, they have been described as chala. An intelligent man should conclude that material economic development is not at all pleasing. I don't know if you all have heard that people say, oh, I wish the times was like how it was 40 years ago, or how it was 50 years ago. Times were more simpler, there was not so much stress. I don't know if you all have ever felt that way or spoken like that or heard people speaking like that. You know,
Yes.
Yes, I've heard, yeah.
right? Because as we are increasing as we are developing so much, our modern civilization is also bringing together with it its own anxieties, its own stresses. Of course, the conveniences are there. It's much more convenient to do a lot of things, but together with it, it's coming its own stress, its own anxiety. So the entire world is described in Bhagavad Gita as dukhalayam ashasvatam, miserable and temporary. Economic development may be pleasing for some time, but it cannot endure. So of course we do feel pleasure. We feel pleasure. That's why we continue doing certain activities. But that pleasure is temporary for short time. And also we have to work a lot to get that temporary pleasure. Also, what we are experiencing is pleasure, but not happiness. Whereas what the soul is actually seeking is happiness, the bliss. And that we will be able to experience only when we can connect ourselves to Krishna, when we can purify ourselves. So, thus, many big businessmen are now very morose because they are being harassed by various plundering governments. Now, Prabhupada has written this how many years ago, 50 years or so ago. And then we can see the same thing applies right now. So, in conclusion, why should one waste his time for so called economic development, which is neither permanent nor pleasing to the soul? So, as we just said, our focus is not to fight with people or why the economic development or not, but whatever it is, we just continue to hear and chant. Yeah. So, on the other hand, our relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is eternal. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. The pure souls are eternally in love with Krishna, and this permanent love, either as a servant, a friend, a parent, or a conjugal lover, is not at all difficult to revive. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. So, those who are Nitya Siddha, actually, each and every one of us have Krishna Prema. Each and every one of us. Some of us have now forgotten it. So we simply have to revive it. That's all. Yeah. So, especially in this age, the concession is that simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam Eva Kevalam, one revives his original relationship with God and thus becomes so happy that he does not want anything material. Our relationship with Krishna is eternal relationship. It can never be broken. It's eternally there. So by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, this is what there is in the Vedas are telling us in this age. If you want to revive your relationship with Krishna, you chant Hare Krishna mantra. As enunciated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadesha kamaye. A very advanced devotee in Krishna consciousness does not want riches, followers, or possessions. So the pure devotee, Lord Chaitanya in the Shikshastakam, he's showing us that what is the prayer of the pure devotee. Pure devotee, he's praying to Krishna that he has no material desires. So he doesn't want wealth, he doesn't want followers, he doesn't want beautiful women. But what he wants, just engage in loving service to Krishna. He wants to engage in pure devotional service. So Raya Kalatram Pashava Sutadayo Graha Mahi Kunchara Kosha Bhutaya. The satisfaction of possessing material opulences, although perhaps of a different standard, is available even in the lives of dogs and hogs, who cannot revive their eternal relationship with Krishna. In human life, however, our eternal, dormant relationship with Krishna is possible to revive. Therefore, Prahlāda Maharaj has described this life as Arthadam. Consequently, instead of wasting our time for economic development, which cannot give us any happiness, if we simply try to revive our eternal relationship with Krishna, we will properly utilize our lives. So, Prahlāda Maharaj is saying, anyway, you're going to do what you need to do. We need to do whatever we need to do to survive. But he's saying at least focus to revive eternal relationship with Krishna. Prabhupada is saying that we cannot do that in any other form. When we are in the form of an animal, then we won't be able to revive our eternal relationship with Krishna. It's only in this human life that we can. That's why there's so much value given to this human life. Any comments?
So human life is so
Yes.
important. Yeah, right? Hare Krishna.
Yes.
The importance
Yes.
of human life. It is so valuable. And we don't
Yeah.
understand. Though,
Yeah.
like how Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the soul prays in the womb, the baby prays in the womb. Oh Krishna, I will remember you. Just let me out, because he's suffering so much inside and he's praying. And like how it's a beautiful bhajan. And the moment he comes out, he forgets everything. He
Yeah.
just gets caught up in the material hustle bustle and desires.
Yeah. Yes.
And as you always say, that we cannot be desireless, but that desire to serve Krishna should be there, to be with Krishna, to serve him, serve his devotees. That should be there, because we cannot be desireless. So,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. somehow or the other, let us have this desire. Oh, I wish I can also engage in pure devotional service.
Like how it says, no, there's no endeavor. Like, there's no endeavor to get close. Just simply by hearing and chanting, you can get closer, Krishna.
Yeah, yeah. He's saying you just sit down anywhere and you just start chanting.
And offer also Patram Pushpam Phalam to him.
Yeah,
Just offer in that also. It's good.
yeah. So it's a simple process, sublime. It's simple. It's just we complicate things,
Yes. Yeah.
We complicate it because of our own desires, our own agendas that we have, we complicate the things. But here, Prahlad Maharaj. So it shows, no, that when you're expert in something, you can so easily present the matter in such a simple way that it's easy for another to understand. So we can see that how Prahlad Maharaj is so expert in devotional service that he's saying, oh, you just sit down anywhere and you hear and chant, and then that's your perfection.
And he's speaking like Krishna. He's speaking like Krishna says, you are blessed to have human life. You can hear and chant. Just do that right away. Just surrender and hear and chant. Meditate.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Evam hi loka kratubi krita ame
Evam
Loka kratubi
Kritami.
shaishnavashatishayana nirmalaha
Shaish
navasati
tasmad adrishta shrutadushanam param.
Tasma
Tasmad adrishta
Shrutadushanam
shritadushanam
param.
Bhaktyo tayesham bhajatat malabdaye.
Bhaktyo
Bhaktyo
Bhutesham
Vajatat
Bhajatat
If it is learned from Vedic literature that by performing great sacrifices one may elevate himself to the heavenly planets, however, although life on the heavenly planets is hundreds and thousands of times more comfortable than life on earth, the heavenly planets are not pure nirmalam or free from the taint of material existence. The heavenly planets are also temporary, and therefore they are not the goal of life. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, has never been seen or heard to possess inebriety. Consequently, for your own benefit and self realization, you must worship the Lord with great devotion, as described in the revealed scriptures. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Shine Punya Martya Lokam Vishanti. Even if one is promoted to the higher planetary systems by performing great sacrifices, which are accompanied by the sinful acts of sacrificing animals, the standard of happiness in Swargalok is also not free of disturbances. There is a similar struggle for existence even for the king of heaven, Indra. Any pastime you remember? That there's difficulties even for Indra.
Yeah, just I don't remember the story, but it was more about he was identifying himself with his possessions. That's what I remember.
like how Hiranyakashipu he attacked there, and they like how he insulted his
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The same pastime. Yes.
yeah.
That Indra has been thrown out of his palace and he is, you know, He's scared of Hiranyakashipu. So, yeah. So then, thus, there is no practical benefit in promoting oneself to the heavenly planets. Indeed, from the heavenly planets, one must return to this earth after one has exhausted the results of his pious activities. So Prahlāda Maharaj is saying, then why you want to take the trouble to go to the heavens? If you're going to come back to the same place, you're going to find yourself in the same position, then that means it's just a waste of time and energy. Then what did you gain? Why do you want to do it? So in the Vedas it is said, tad yateha karma jito loka shiyate evam evamutra punya jito loka shiyata. As the material positions we acquire here by hard work are vanquished in due course of time, one's residence in the heavenly planets is also eventually vanquished. So we can see even in this earth planet, things are temporary. We get something, we are happy with it for some time. Then after some time, the situation changes, circumstance changes. So same is there in the heavenly planets also, because heavenly planets also are in the material world. The material laws are applicable even in the heavenly planets. According to one's activities of piety in different degrees, one obtains different standards of life, but none of them are permanent, and therefore they are all impure. Consequently, one should not endeavor to be promoted to the higher planetary systems, only to return to this earth or descend still lower to the hellish planets. To stop the cycle of going up and coming down, one must take to Krishna consciousness. So, it's like a Ferris wheel. We have been going. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore said, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bija. Caitanya Caritamita Madhya Lila, chapter 19, text 151. The living entity is rotating in the cycle of birth and death, going sometimes to the higher planets and sometimes to the lower planets. But that is not the solution to the problems of life. Just like Ferris wheel, sometimes it goes up, sometimes down, up, down, up, down. We are in this wheel, in this cycle. Every time birth, death, old age, disease, anywhere we go, any planet we go, any species we go in this material world, any country, any community, all same problems. Birth, death, old age, disease. But if by the grace of Krishna, one is fortunate enough to meet a guru, a representative of Krishna, one gets the clue to returning home, back to Godhead, having achieved self-realization. This is what is actually desirable. So, the Krishna's mercy, devotees' mercy. It's by good fortune that we can get this. The devotees are openly giving out Krishna's mercy. This is Lord Chaitanya's mission, to freely spread Krishna's mercy everywhere. So, Bhajatatma Labdaye, one must take to Krishna consciousness for self-realization. We may say, oh, I don't want to surrender to Krishna. I can get out of this material world another way. There's no other way. We want to get out of the material world. We have to surrender to Krishna, engage in devotional service. Any questions, comments?
I heard in one of the lectures, it was that, as you rightly said, that there is no other way to get out of this material world, and we have to surrender. And then they said that, so why not surrender? If you're thinking that you will not surrender now, you have some desires, you'll do it, but still you will have to surrender. You will still have to surrender. And they said that it's not about you and me. You think that, oh, I'm a devotee, everybody is a devotee. So don't misbehave with any person, because you never know.
Yeah, it's true, because Krishna says, Bhaunam Janma Namante, that after many births and deaths, you have to surrender. So then our choice, we want to surrender to Krishna in this birth, or we want to surrender to Krishna after many, many births. But surrender to Krishna we must. Yes, thank you. Yeah, and everyone's a devotee, each and every one of us, part and parcel of Krishna. Each of every one of us have love for Krishna in our heart. Simply forgotten it.
Because he's existing, no, in our hearts as a super
Yeah,
soul. So he's
yeah,
there with us.
yeah. He's there in all of us. Yeah, he's not saying, oh, you're a devotee, I'll be in your heart. You're not a devotee, I will not be in your heart.
Yes.
For him, we are all his children. Yes. Yes.
So surrender meaning also like chanting, right? Taking his
Yes.
name. That's devotional,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Hare Nam,
Yes.
Hare Nam, Hare Nama Kevalam. Nameva Kevalam Kalo Nasti, Eva Nasti, Eva Nasti, Eva Gatir and Gatha.
Yes. That's right. Surrender begins by chanting Hare Krishna. Yeah. By following Krishna's instructions, by hearing about Krishna, by chanting his name. But actual surrender begins when we start chanting Hare Krishna. Yeah. You want to say the meaning of the verse you just quoted?
Yeah. For spiritual progress in this age of Kali, there is no alternative. There is no alternative. There is no alternative to the holy name. The holy name, the holy name of the Lord.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. To achieve perfection, yeah, we have to chant. That's what's recommended to us in this age. Sorry. So thank you all so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare